残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ。
Not long after hitting Japanese airwaves back in 1995, Neon Genesis Evangelion catapulted the struggling Gainax to the spotlight and established itself as serious business by becoming one of the best-selling anime series of the 20th century and one of the most iconic anime franchises ever. Its influence was immediate and widespread. Once the story reached its conclusion with the theatrical release of 1997's The End of Evangelion, the series faded into the background while its mastermind, Hideaki Anno, tried his hand at other endeavors like live-action films and an anime adaptation of Kare Kano, but Anno could not let his series rest and would ultimately revive it 10 years later. Putting aside theories about Anno attempting to undermine Rei Ayanami or the series itself and ignoring whether the films are as good as the original television series, it is undeniable that the rebuild of Evangelion has proven to be quite the commercial juggernaut that has elevated the franchise to new heights. As early as 2002, Anno expressed interest in producing an alternate retelling of the television series in a cinematic format. However, this would not materialize until years later in the creation of his own studio, Studio Kara. Rebuild was officially announced in 2006, and Anno revealed his plans to tell the story how it was meant to be told, freed from the budgetary and technical limitations of the past. As should be well known, the original television series infamously exhausted its budget during production, and Gainax utilized some very interesting methods in response. Anyway, the first entry in this series, Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone, made it to the big screen in 2007. Despite releasing in only 84 theaters, the film dominated the box office on its opening weekend and ultimately grossed $18 million. 2 years later, Evangelion 2.0, You Cannot Advance, more than doubled the gross of its predecessor by earning $44 million, and 2012's Evangelion 3.0, You Cannot Redo, achieved even greater success with $60 million. In 5 years, a rebuild feature went from being the 26th highest grossing film of the year to the 6th highest grossing film of the year. In the Japanese market, of course, though impressive nonetheless. But this business was not limited to the silver screen. For example, the films did incredible business in the home video market, merchandise sold well enough to warrant the creation of stores exclusively devoted to selling Evangelion merchandise. The brand tie-ins seem endless. There was an Evangelion section added to Fuji-Q Highland theme park in 2010. Evangelion pachinko games are a license to print money. Besides Fist of the North Star, no other series comes close to comparing to its profits in that field. And in 2015, an Evangelion-inspired Shinkansen hit Japanese railways to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Sanyo Shinkansen line and the 20th anniversary of the series. The bullet train was popular enough to continue a year after its original decommission date and made its final run in 2018 to a crowd of more than 1,200 fans bidding it farewell. More recently, Evangelion has gotten various attractions at Universal Japan since 2017. Lastly, the opening theme for the television series, A Cruel Angel's Thesis, has taken on a life of its own. The 2009 remake paired with the second rebuild film peaked on the Oricon charts at number 27 and stayed on the charts for over 3 months. The original song was the most popular karaoke selection in Japan from 2009 to 2011 and again in 2018. Overall, in the years since the first rebuild, Evangelion has gone on to become one of the most profitable media franchises in the world, ranking at number 17 in the company of giants like Star Wars and Pokemon. But Rebuild did more than cement Evangelion's place in Japanese popular culture and enrich Anno's bank account. Anno has used the success of its franchise to help both the anime and tokusatsu industries. The Japan Animator Expo of 2014 to 2015 gave new artists in the anime industry a rare platform and exposure, from which came titles like Me, Me, Me and other unique animated shorts. Out of this also came a Gridman short, which was a direct route to Studio Trigger's SSSS Gridman television series in 2018. A few years earlier in 2012, Anno unveiled the Tokusatsu Special Effects Museum, craftsmanship of Showa and Heisei era seen through miniatures exhibit. It honored the effects efforts of Tokusatsu giants like Ije Tsuburaya, who was responsible for media like Godzilla and Ultraman, two major inspirations on Anno's own works. From this endeavor came the Giant God Warrior Appears in Tokyo short film, written by Anno, directed by Shinji Higuchi, and produced by Studio Ghibli. The short film dealt with the god warrior of Miyazaki's Nazca of the Valley of the Wind, attacking modern Tokyo. This and his recent success with Evangelion is probably what attracted Toho's attention and inspired their decision to let Anno and Higuchi resurrect the Japanese Godzilla franchise with Shin Godzilla in 2016. A crossover campaign with Evangelion was used to promote the film, and Shin Godzilla went on to gross $80 million and win numerous prestigious accolades, making it the second biggest Japanese film of 2016 and the most successful Japanese Godzilla film since 1962. But on to the actual films themselves. I know a lot of people aren't happy about the more action-oriented, accessible Evangelion, yet aside from the polarized reactions to the third entry, general audience reception appears to have been very positive thus far, and the films have been nominated for or won multiple awards from Japanese film organizations. More nominations than actual wins from what I can determine, but at least that suggests these films are at worst somewhat well regarded. And as demonstrated, not only has Rebuild kept the franchise culturally relevant for more than a decade, the franchise has grown and has allowed its creator to support other areas of Japanese media. Think about that. That's impressive. Compare that to Disney's handling of Star Wars. Despite going in with all of the goodwill in the world and a box office record-setting hit, in less than 5 years the merchandise sales have plummeted. Solo: A Star Wars Story is the first Star Wars box office bomb ever, and The Last Jedi, along with severely underperforming, might be one of the most divisive films of all time. The latter 2 points resulted in the cancellation of other Star Wars spin-off films and incited discussion about fans boycotting Episode 9. But back to Eva, there's still more to come. In the short term, there's the release of the original television series on Netflix later this year, and after experiencing a name change and multiple delays, the 4th and final installment of the Rebuild saga is expected to release in 2020, just in time for the Tokyo Summer Olympics. Mind you, this was originally supposed to come out in 2015. Anyway, the road since Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone, has been an exciting ride, and I look forward to seeing what happens with the series next. So what are your thoughts on the series? Which do you prefer, Neon Genesis or Rebuild? And what direction do you think the series will head after 2020? Let me know in the comment section below. And until next time,